Given that anxiety issues, including panic attacks, are the most common mental health issue in America, it's not surprising that there are many pharmaceutical companies trying to come up with profitable product solutions. There are so many medications available, I can't even keep track of them. Now, prescription medication can be a good option for some people experiencing anxiety, and that decision is one that can only be discussed with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified to give that kind of advice, and nothing I say here is intended as medical advice. However, as a former and totally recovered panic disorder sufferer myself, I do have some personal insight and opinions on the matter. Hopefully your doctor will make you aware of these considerations as well, but I'm going to mention them here just so that you can raise the topics in case he or she forgets, because they are busy people. Okay, the first issue is that medication can cover up anxiety by numbing the sensations, but unless you're taking steps to resolve the real cause of your anxiety or panic disorder while you're medicated, there's a very good chance that the problem will surface again once you stop taking medication. And the larger problem is that medication can often dull that desire or motivation to take that kind of action. So that's something to keep in mind. The second thing you might question is whether the emotions that you're feeling are normal for the situation, or if they're normal human emotions. Ask yourself, is something about your life not the way you want it to be at the moment? Is your body trying to tell you something? And if so, is this something you should be trying to suppress? In many cases, anxiety and panic disorder are not due to a chemical imbalance. This reminds me of when my own father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and my mother was naturally extremely distraught. Her doctor prescribed a popular anti-anxiety and anti-depression drug. Well, months later, she told me that when she started using that drug, she was sitting alone in her room one night, thinking about how she was losing my father, her companion of 30 plus years, and she could not cry a single tear. Part of her knew she should, and she wanted to, but she couldn't. Here she was losing the number one love of her life, and she couldn't even cry. I mean, really, do you want to numb yourself to the feelings of life, or eliminate part of what it is to be alive, to be human? So question whether what you're feeling is normal for the situation, and whether there might be a better way of learning how to manage that emotional overwhelm. Yes, life gets hard, and I'm not going to pretend that I know the severity of what you're going through, and I can understand that a quick fix looks appealing. But for your own long-term well-being and future happiness, I'm just saying that you might want to think about it a little. Now, a third issue to keep in mind is that the human brain can build up tolerance to prescription drugs in some cases, and this probably depends on what you're taking, but there's a chance that you may eventually need to increase your medication to a higher dosage in order to maintain the same effect. More problematic is the fact that if you should choose to discontinue your medication at some point, you may find yourself experiencing the same amount of anxiety or even more than you were before. Now, I believe most anxiety medications are supposedly non-addictive, but this could theoretically make it difficult to discontinue use. So be sure to ask your doctor about that aspect of the drug that he or she is giving you. Now, the next thing I want to mention is to not ignore the side effects of the medications you're considering. You can usually get a good overview of these by reading the literature that's provided with the medication that you're taking. It's usually the small print, but some of the side effects can be significant, including sleep disturbance, sexual dysfunction, weight gain, organ failure, and others. As a side note, and I don't know if this directly applies to anxiety medication, but a few years ago I attended a memorial service for a family friend who had committed suicide. She had been on medication for years for a more serious psychiatric issue, not simple anxiety or panic disorder. But the fact is that the psychiatric issue wasn't the reason she committed suicide. Rather, she had just been given some worse news from her doctor, which was that the medication she had been taking had damaged an internal organ and she was going to die. So these drugs may have temporarily made her life easier, but in the end, it was a known side effect that killed her, or led to her suicide in her mid-30s. Again, her situation was not as simple as anxiety or panic, but my point here is that some side effects are really serious. So I personally would make a special point of asking the doctor whether medication is really necessary for your condition. Get a second opinion if you like, or even a third, because some doctors are simply not as familiar with psychological issues as you might hope. They're busy people and writing a prescription is easy. So sometimes you just have to take it upon yourself to educate yourself. Talk to multiple people, read the warnings, weigh the options, and then you can make a truly informed decision. And also, once again, I'm not a doctor, so please don't let my opinion here do anything more than raise your awareness of some issues to discuss with a true medical professional. But if there is one bit of advice that I do think I'm qualified to give, it would be that if you decide that medication is appropriate for your situation with anxiety or panic disorder, I strongly suggest that even if the drugs dull your strong motivation, do what you can to try to make a conscious effort to pursue more permanent cognitive or behavioral solutions while you're medicated. But once again, this is just the opinion of a non-professional here, but someone who has gone through panic disorder. Okay, if you'd like to hear my other insights on anxiety and panic, or know what I use to overcome the conditions in my life, please feel free to check out the free audio on my website at mc2method.org. Once you're on the listening page, be sure to click on the anxiety link for the appropriate audio. That's mc2method.org. Thank you for watching, and good luck to you.